Today I thought it might be fun to go through my crafty bingo sheet for 2025. If you're new here, my name is Jules and I love doing crafts, and I'm going to tell you all about the things that I've got in my brain that I want to make this year. Normally at the start of the year I'll make a big list of all the things I want to make, but I was seeing all these people making bingo cards for their various life goals and I thought it was a really fun idea, so I thought, why not make a craft specific one of all the things I want to make? That way whenever I finish a project I can tick it off my bingo card, and hopefully at the end of the year this bad boy will be all filled up. In terms of the design, I actually had a really fun time making this. It's always nice doing a little bit of it feels almost like a school project. With my design, I actually decided to keep it in black and white because I thought it'd be fun whenever I finish a project I can colour in the square, and that way I've got a really good visual representation of how well I'm doing with my bingo card. I've also got some stickers that I can put on as well, so if I complete something more than once, it can maybe get different little star stickers to represent how many times I've made it. Also, I made my bingo sheet a little bit bigger so I could fit in some more stuff, and I categorised it into crochet things, knitting things, and other things. This is more miscellaneous crafts. So for each category, I've got 10 different things I want to achieve, and spoiler alert, I've already done one of them, which is very exciting. So we can fill in one of these squares later on. So I'm going to zoom through each of these things, talk a little bit about it. I'll show any inspo pictures up here, and also if there's any specific patterns that I want to be using for these, I'll put up some images and I'll link them down below in the description. So we'll start off with the crochet section, and the first thing I want to make is a stripe skirt. And this is a specific stripy skirt because I want it to match perfectly my Timothy Chalamet inspired cardigan that I made last year. So I love this cardigan so much, it's absolutely perfect, but I find it's almost too exciting to pair with outfits properly. I'm finding it really hard to put it into an ensemble that looks good, but I thought maybe I should lean into it, have a matching mini skirt, and then it's just gonna be a whole look and it'd be really fun. I think I'm gonna do this one pretty soon. I've already got all the yarn left over from the cardigan, and because I've made the cardigan, I know the gauge, and I think it should be pretty easy to work out the measurements. So I think that'll be a fun, quick little project to get me going. So the next thing in the crochet list is the daisy chain dress. This one is from Realm Designs. There's a top version and a dress version, and you can do the dress like either a mini length or a maxi length. They all look so good. I'm not quite sure what length I want to do, but I definitely want to make one of these. Also, I'm struggling to think of what color palette I want to do it in. So if you've got any good suggestions for that, please let me know. I'm either thinking bright like this one would be fun, or maybe some sort of deeper jewel tone colors might be cute. I'd mostly be wearing it over black though. Next is tapestry crochet. I've never done tapestry crochet, but I'm really inspired by so many amazing ones I've been seeing around the internet. People have such amazing design and it really comes out nicely in tapestry crochet. I really like the illustrative nature of it. In my mind, I'm sort of likening it a bit more to punch needle, which I love doing, and I think it might be a nice way to explore crochet, but maybe do some more sort of interesting patterning. And next up I've got novelty bag. I did a little roundup of all the things that was inspiring my crochet for 2025, and one of the things in this was a fish shaped bag, and I just thought it was so funny and cute and I really liked it. So I'm thinking some sort of novelty fun bag. It'd just be a quick little project, but just make it a little bit wacky, I reckon. I reckon that could be good. And then we've got something scrappy. I love doing scrap yarn projects. I think they're really fun. I've made the Miu Miu purse, and I know my auntie wants one, so I'm definitely gonna make one for her, so I think that could probably count as my something scrappy for here. All right, next up is mini dress. I'm really excited for this one. I saw this image, I'm not sure where it's from, but I love it so much. It's so cute. I really love granny squares. I think for me, they just go hand in hand with crochet so nicely. I love the look of them, and I feel like it's got such a nice sort of retro, but also craftsy kind of feeling to them. So I think a little dress with granny squares would be perfect. I love the bright colors on the black background. Everything about it I really love. All right, next up is one that I know will take a long time, so fingers crossed for this one, but I think a big crochet coat would be perfect. Either with granny squares could be fun, or patchwork squares. Definitely a big project. I'd probably leave that till winter here, which is middle of the year, because I think it seems overwhelming and a lot of yarn to sort of have around when it's quite warm outside. Next is a cute little top. Everyone loves a cute little top. I certainly do. So I'm thinking just something cute, something little. I have been seeing the Colosseum top a a lot on TikTok and Instagram, things like that. And I feel like it always looks really cute. All right, next on the list is filet crochet. In my other video, I said this wrong. I called it fillet crochet, very embarrassing, but I still maintain that it looks really cool and I would love to try doing it. It's a technique I've never done before. I don't know what I would make with it. The fact that you have to use quite a thin yarn and small hook means it would probably be quite a labor-intensive project. So maybe nothing too big, but just maybe even some little sample squares to test out the technique. I think it'd be fun. And then the last one in the crochet category is a dupe. I have a feeling that someone somewhere this year will wear something crochet and I'll want to copy it, and that's what I'll do. So this one's a little bit of a mystery one, but we'll just have to wait and see what comes up. It's either going to be a celebrity wearing some sort of crochet thing, or maybe something on the runways might be more crochet inspired, or potentially I could find something from the archives, a vintage thing that I might want to reproduce too. So I think that'll be a fun little mystery project that we'll just have to see what comes up. Now I'm going to move on to the 10 knitting items that are on my bingo list, and we're starting off strong with one that everyone knows, and it's the Sophie scarf. And in exciting news, I've already done this one. A couple weeks ago, I finished off 2 Sophie scarves. I did a small one and a large one, and I absolutely loved it. I made a video about it, sort of documenting the process if you're interested in that sort of thing. But yes, the first thing on my bingo list is done. So I'll color this one in, and I've also got some cute little stickers I can put on. Because I've made 2 of them, I'm gonna get to put 2 stickers on. What an exciting day. But yes, I love the Sophie scarf. I thought it was super fun. And it was a great, quick little project, which I'm definitely a big fan of. And then next in the knitting section, we've got a stripy jumper. I keep seeing this sort of jumper. I love it. I think it's so fun. It looks cozy and cute and just stripy and adorable. So the yarn is actually from Lang Yarns. It's called the Cloud yarn. And apparently it's super soft, super squishy, super lovely, and it makes these really nice stripes, and it comes in a bunch of different cool colorways. So I think it's a bit of a splurge, this yarn. It's quite fancy, but I think it'd be fun. People really seem to love the yarn, and they also say that it works up pretty quickly, which I think would be good. All right, so the next one is color work. I'm leaving this kind of vague because I'm not quite sure what I would want to make. My heart of hearts says a jumper, like a beautiful color work jumper, like I've seen so many people sort of working on amazing looking things. But also jumpers take a long time, so I might start on something small. But yes, I love the look of color work. I've done a lot of designs for color work with punch cards for my knitting machine, so it might also be fun to do some little sample squares where I can sort of come up with some different designs. I think that would be fun. All right, so now we're going to switch back to Sophie again, because I think I'm going to make the Sophie hood. I feel like it just has to happen. Honestly, I did have a really fun time making the scarves, so I think the hood is the next logical step. Also, it looks really cute. Also, I really like the idea of having a hooded scarf for winter. I'm trying to pick out some colors for this project at the moment. I'm thinking slightly darker than the scarves that I made, maybe a red, a sort of deep blue, or a foresty green, but we will have to wait and see. All right, next on the list is a red cardigan. I feel like this will just be a perfect wardrobe staple. I think red is great, cardigan's great. I don't see how this one could go wrong. It might take a while. All right, next up is working from a vintage pattern. I've got a whole stack of vintage knitting patterns, and obviously there's tons of vintage patterns online that you can access. So I thought it'd be fun to work from an older pattern, especially because a lot of the vintage patterns I've seen are a little bit weird, and I think that could be fun. All right, next one is something fishy. I kept this vague again, but if you watch my Knitting 2025 inspo video, you would have seen all the nautical and fishy inspired knits that I put on that, because I don't know, fish are having a moment and it's cute and I love it and I think it's really fun. So I definitely thought we could make something fishy, but not sure what. I'm not sure I love fish enough to invest my time and effort into the halibut sweater, but everyone seems to be liking that. But maybe I could do a smaller sort of something cute and fishy. All right, so then we've got a crazy jumper. This means something that's just a little bit wild, a bit out there. Maybe something that I design myself rather than a pattern I find, because that way I can just make it as weird as I would like. Also, I was really inspired by lots of kids and cartoon jumpers, so I think maybe if I incorporated some of those elements into something, that could be fun too. And then next up is a cute or a weird toy. When I've made little toys or little guys, things like that, they've usually been crochet, so I thought it'd be fun to knit one. And yeah, we can either make it cute or we can make it weird. I've seen some weird vintage ones, but there's also some really cool ones that I've seen lots on Instagram, things like the lobster and these cute little frogs. It might just be fun to do one of those as a little project, maybe even for a present. And then last in the knitting section is intarsia. Not quite sure what, but I definitely think that's a technique I'd like to work with more this year. And that brings us to the other section / miscellaneous. So I thought this section would be good because it could include various crafts that I like to do, but maybe I don't do them as frequently as the other ones. So for this one, I've got 10 things. The first one is sew the perfect dress. I really love sewing, and I've got in my mind that it would be amazing to come up with a pattern for the perfect dress for me, and then just find some really nice fabrics and maybe even make a whole bunch of them. And then I'd have a perfect dress uniform that I could just wear all the time, and it'd be comfortable and it'd look good and I'd love it. And then the next sewing project I thought could be formal pajamas. I'm a massive fan of pajamas. I pretty much would live in them full time if I could, but sometimes you need to leave the house, and proper pajamas aren't intended for that. So I thought maybe I could sew some formal pajamas that they're structured enough like pajamas to be as comfortable, but they somehow are gonna look like proper clothes so no one knows I'm wearing pajamas. I don't know, I'm gonna have to think on this one a little bit, but if I can figure it out, I think it'll be perfect. Then we've got another sewing project. I thought doing something with patchwork could be fun. I've done a bit of patchwork back in the day, but I haven't done really any particularly intricate patchwork designs. So I thought maybe it'd be fun to do a project like that. I would love to do a quilt or a bedspread, something big and beautiful and wholesome, but that might be a bit of a big project. So I thought also a patchwork tote bag could be cute. And then the last sewing one in the other section is a stack o' skirts. I would just like to make a whole bunch of skirts in the same idea of having, a wardrobe filled with perfect dresses. It'd be great to have a whole row of skirts that just can be worn with all the t-shirts that I've got, and they'll be comfy and cute and perfect. I'm thinking probably like midi length skirts, and I've got some velvet that I thought could be fun. But yeah, I just feel like that'd be a fun and practical project. Next up, a bit out of left field, is do a paint by numbers. I've had one of these sitting in the cupboard since last Christmas, and I never got around to doing it, but I hear it's very relaxing and very fun to do. So I thought, maybe I should give it a try and see how relaxing it is. I think one of my reservations about painting by numbers is that I might feel a little bit annoyed at having to stay within the line or use the specific colors. So I'm gonna see if I can show some restraint and follow it exactly, because it might just be super fun and relaxing. And also, you never know if you're gonna love a hobby until you try it. So I thought I'll give it a go. And then the next thing is a pile of paintings. I was thinking it'd be fun to get back into painting, not just by numbers, but by my brain. It's been a while since I've painted, but I think it could be really nice to get back into painting. Again, in that sense that it might be a nice relaxing hobby to have. And I've specified a pile of paintings, but I don't know how many that is, and I think that's up to a little bit of discretion. But also I'm thinking I'll include some other artworks too. So if I want to do some pencil drawings or collage, that could be nice to sort of combine all together into like doing more art. Then we've got beaded jewelry. I love a bit of beading. It's super fun. Again, relaxing. I feel like a lot of my crafts have to be relaxing or I don't want to do them, because why wouldn't you want to relax? I've got a whole bunch of supplies for beading, so I'm thinking maybe I can just spend a few fun afternoons making some necklaces, earrings, bracelets, and maybe a bunch of presents for people, because I feel like beaded jewelry is always a nice little gift to give. And then what about a woven wall hanging? I really love doing a bit of weaving. I've got a big loom that I can warp up and have a play around with, but I've also got some smaller ones that I thought might be fun to do some kind of smaller, scrappy little weavings with. I don't know. I've got a little vision of the sort of style I want to do. Also, I've got a whole bunch of yarn and some roving as well. So I've got lots of materials that I can be using with this project, which I think would be good. And next up is clay. I kept this one kind of vague too, because I'm not quite sure what I want to make. I've done a little bit of pottery stuff before and I really liked it. And I've got some clay that I can just use for hand building. It's an air dry clay, but I think I can get it fired at one of the local pottery places as well, which could be cute. And yeah, I just want to make some little things like little trinket dishes. I like the idea of doing something that could be used as little decorative elements on a table or as a centerpiece, or even some candle holders could be fun. And then the very last thing on my Crafty Bingo 2025 is to do an embroidery upcycle project. So I thought embroidery is fun, I really like it, but what about taking an old shirt that I have and doing some embroidery on it? I've seen so many examples of amazing embroidery on Pinterest. There's just so much there that I absolutely love. So I'd want to think a little bit about a theme, I think, and then try and come up with some images that might go along with that. One of my favorite themes, and I actually forgot to put it on the board, I was planning on putting it on somewhere, is the celestial theme. So I feel like for embroidery, that could be really fun, but I'm also imagining some of my crochet or knitting projects might also sort of fall into that celestial, witchy kind of category that I know and love. And that is the end of my board. I feel like I've talked non-stop for way too long. I hope that wasn't too frantic, but I am genuinely really excited about all these projects. 30 things to do in a year seems like a fair bit, especially because we're almost at the end of January and I've only done one of them. But it's not really about finishing them all. I think it's more about the achievement of doing some things rather than having to get each of them done. But maybe if you want to, you could jump down in the comments below and have a little guess about how many of these 30 things you think I might get done this year. Also, when I'm doing projects this year, I'll most likely be making videos about a lot of these ones, so I'll be able to color them in as I get them done. But I'll check in from time to time with my bingo sheet and let you know how I'm going as well. Let me know, have you made a bingo card for this year? And if so, what fun things did you put on it? And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.